Hey up, how are we? Welcome to a very well requested video. This is what's in my peli case. As you can see, my peli case is an absolute mess. And that's a good thing because it means I've had to use it, right? So as we're going, I'm going to tidy it up. Now I have split kind of like what's my peli case into like different categories. And I will kind of go through them as we go along as well. So the categories that I split them up into are kind of like beginner, intermediate, expert, professional, whatever you want to call it. So basically, if you're starting out and you get in a toolbox, what are you going to need in your toolbox? And then kind of like maybe doing a few ins and a few outs, what are you going to need? And then maybe like if you're going on tour, what you should have in your peli. And of course, a disclaimer, I don't have everything that I would love in this peli. You know, there are a lot of other kit, and I do understand that kit in this day and age is very expensive as well. So yeah, bear that in mind, that I have bits and bobs here and there which I would like, or I'd like a different version of, or whatever. But this is what gets me by. I'm very happy with what I have. Okay, so my peli's a mess. That's all right. We're gonna crack on with it anyway, and we'll sort of tidy it as we go. So the first thing that I'm gonna suggest get as a lampy is a quad spanner and an AJ. So which I have two here. And I was on the bridge here in Dublin focusing the units, and so that's why the lanyard's on them. However, usually I keep them in this bag here, and this is essentially my everyday toolbox carry. You know, I was working a lot on site on Harry Potter. We were there for a long time on the Forbidden Forest experience, so therefore just having this kind of just to wrap around and kind of carry it as you go is a massive bonus. In the front pocket I have, you know, because I'm diabetic, I don't know if you know, so I have like my glucose tablets and all that in case I have a low. In the middle pocket I just have ample amounts of Sharpies, which is key to being a lampy, and then there's tape in there, or there would be tape in there, but I've used it all. And then in my main pocket at the back I have a Leatherman, which is like so useful, and again, one of the top items to ever have. This is a skeletal like that. My knife has broke on it, but that's okay, it still works, still does the job. I have a DMX Cat, which we'll get into a little bit later, or maybe in a different video, because this is one of those which every lampy should have. However, they are ridiculously expensive, so if you're not going to use it every single day of your entire life, it maybe not be your best purchase. However, incredibly useful tool. Cable ties, mini cable ties. You just need to cable tie your life away sometimes, you know. Tighten up a bit of cable ties. Something's loose, cable ties. You just need cable ties, right? You get a mini bag of cable ties, that'll sort you right out. Let's have another Leatherman, because you can never have too many Leathermans. This is my original Leatherman I ever first got. Knife, all that kind of stuff. Really handy. I have a wingnut spanner. Now a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on wingnut spanners. I prefer a wingnut spanner to an AJ because I find AJs a bit too fiddly, and I can just jump into whatever size hole I need, wingnut, you know, M10, all that kind of stuff, and it's a bottle opener as well. So, you know, end of the day when you want a beer, crack open your wingnut, you know, happy days. Okay, so next, I usually carry this in this pouch, which we'll also get into, which is the Draper kind of like standard screwdriver set. However, again, I just keep it in my main toolbox because it can just get everywhere, and it's absolutely what everyone should have in their toolbox. Why do we carry these things? I have absolutely no idea what this is from, where it's from, why I have it, but I have it. It's from a job. Who knows what job? I don't, you know? Okay, a level. Everyone's like, why do you need a level? So when you're touring, it's really handy to level out your moving lights. And that essentially means that no matter what kind of, what position you are, whether the bar's really heavy or whatever's going on, as long as your moving lights are level and they're in the same place every single week, your relight is going to be 10 times easier. So you just need to grab a level, stick it on top of the moving light, and then adjust the clamps as per. And that's it, you know, and then usually obviously I carry my tools in here as well. Okay, so that's my everyday carry. You know, if I'm doing a fit up, that's what I have. Obviously I have a tape with me, whatever. That'll get you through most difficult situations when on site. But obviously, as you can see, I have a lot more tools. And I need you to understand that this has been built up from years and years and years and years of being in the industry, you know. I say that as if I'm like, you know, old, but you know, it happens. You need a tool for one job, so you buy it and then you have it in your peli case forever. And you might never use that tool again, or it might be handy in a different situation, but you know, you've still got it to hand. Okay, so moving on to what I think is your second most important bit of kit is the draper set. Okay, now every lampy has a draper set like this, you know, pulls apart, 2 handles, all your sets, whatever, and every lampy has them missing, full stop. It just happens. We've got about 5 missing in here, but I have the most important ones. And the reason why these are so good is because they're obviously industry wide, so everyone uses them, but they're also rated to a really high voltage. So therefore, you know, as essentially an electrician on site, you can use them. You know, they're not, I don't mean to say this like in the really horrible way, but they're not like B&Q or, you know, like pound shop stuff. This is what I mean. This is the stuff you need if you want to go on site. And I mean this again in the nicest possible way, but if you want to be taken seriously, you know, you've got to somehow have the kit to you know, to look serious. As daft as that sounds, it really does help. 30 quid, and you know, if you look after them, you can have them forever. And that's the main concept of all this kit. You know, I have 2 peli cases now, one usually for my drills and electronics and stuff like that, and then one for my everyday kind of usage, what I'm going to need. But I'll hopefully never lose any of this, and I'll hopefully never have to replace any of it, or if I do, you know, it'll be a long time until I have to do that. So yeah, really handy, worth the purchase. Just do it, just go out and buy it. Okay, so next thing is a high vis. Interesting concept. This is a Singing in the Rain one that we had for Sadler's Wells. It's got a name on it, LX2. And I just keep a high vis in my peli and in my harness bag as well, and I keep that because you never know what site you're going to go to, what their rules and regulations are. Yes, you're going to need a hard hat. Yes, you're going to need a pair of steels. But some places don't even allow shorts. Some places you need to wear a high vis at all times. Some places it's different coloured high vis depending on your departments. So always throw a high vis in there, whether it's pink, whether it's yellow, whether it's green, orange, blue, whatever. You know, go Joseph Technical Dream Colour coat on it, you know. Okay, moving on, some dirty rigger gloves. I very rarely wear gloves now. I don't really know why. I should start wearing them a lot more. Fingerless, a lot nicer, because you can start, especially when you're focusing really hot units, front of house source 4s they're really good with, and you can actually feel the nuts and bolts on them and tighten them up and all that stuff. But again, had these for absolutely years. You can clearly see that they've been used. But I just have them in just in case I ever need them. And again, Dirty Rigger is a really good company to get this stuff from. Okay, what are these? Everyone always calls them different things. I always say they're like the snips or they're flush cut pliers. I always get the words mixed up, but essentially what these are really good for is for getting really uptight with cutting cable ties. That's essentially it. You want a nice soft finish on your cable ties. You don't want it sharp, and that is mainly so it doesn't cut through cable, but also so that when the next person comes to do it, they're not running their hands across the cable ties and cutting their hands open. So again, really cheap, you know, 15 quid, 10 quid, whatever. Throw them in your toolbox. Happy days. So in your career, if you start touring or you start putting in shows and stuff like that, you will end up with the job of kind of dead in bars. And what do I mean by dead in bars? So dead in bars is where you'll have a number in usually meters of how far your LX bar goes out, okay? And you will call that dead to the flyman. They'll stop it, they'll mark it, and that's where your bar sits for the rest of the tour, for the rest of the week there, 2 weeks there, 3 weeks there, whatever. So these, just soft tape, you know what I mean? Soft tape, that's all they are. They're just like the usual kind of like primary school tape stuff, you know, when you're running out or you're marking up or something like that. And you should get 2 of them. And one thing which, again, like I said in the start of the video, I don't have is everything. And I'm after the little clips to go on the bar clips for these. At the minute, I just tape it on the bottom and just wrap a bit of LX tape, run it out to the meter mark. and then tell them when to stop. So that's the next thing, that's the next small purchase for me, is getting some bar clips for these tapes. But definitely get 2 of them, because you should always measure each end, or you know, if you're on a truss, you should always measure your individual points. So ideally, really, what you should do is measure 3 times of these. For example, you know, so you've got one on the end, one in the middle, one on the other end. So stage right, centre, stage left, you know, that kind of stuff. But I've got 2 seems to do the work. Amazon, screw fix, you know, these are 50 metres, but you can definitely get 25 metre ones, for example, and they'll do the job just right. Okay, so another thing we've got is a label maker. So really handy, cracked screen. However, you should absolutely label everything. As you can see, even my label maker's labelled, you know. You should label absolutely everything on the job. It's such a fast-paced environment, as I've talked about, and you can just easily go and grab another person's tool, and that can just end up in your pelly. You know, it's called theft, but in the industry it's called borrowing. So yeah, so label maker, label everything, absolutely everything you possibly can, and then you have less chance of losing it. This is a very high-end kind of label printer, if I must say so myself, and I'm gutted that I've cracked the screen twice now. But yeah, this is the P-Touch E550W, exciting stuff. So you can get one of these, Amazon, get it delivered, and then as you can see in my thing, when I swap the camera around and do a different angle, I've got all my tapes in here as well, and all my chargers for it as well. Do I even need to explain what this piece of genius is? Do I even need to explain how beautiful this equipment is? Go back to prep day 1 or 2 in Christie Lights, and I talk about this beautiful thing. Okay, so now in my main pelly case, we're kind of getting to the scrag ends of stuff, right? So for example, you know, 2 power banks. Like, you're never really going to need 2 power banks. I'd highly advise you having 1 power bank just in case, but you're never going to need it. All right, tape, 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 loads of tape. The tape just gets thrown in. It's probably from the show, probably from a different show. Tape just gets thrown in. Okay, so moving on to the last few bits of this. Okay, I have a pouch for my torches, literally labelled torches, and I open it up, and it's got a head torch, and it's got a really big lenser torch, like that. And then a head torch as well, and it's just as simple as that. It's about, you know, being able to come to your pelly, grabbing exactly what it says on the tin, and rolling with it. So I'm actually going to start packing my pelly as we go now. What's in this one? Testers. Let's have a look. So a voltmeter, again, really handy bit of kit. Use it pretty much every single day, or someone else's. And then I have a kind of like a cheaper DMX tester in there as well. So yeah, voltmeter is really good for flashing out batteries. So if you've got a lot of batteries on your set, or you want to know if a charge is running through something, you can just bleep the ends, the positive and the negative, and you'll see how much charge the battery's got. Driver set, you'll see my other toolbox, which we'll move to shortly. I have an impact driver and a drill, so it's just my driver set. I have 2 of them. I actually have 3, I think, but just so I've got absolutely everything I could possibly need. A longer what the fuck is this thing called? Longer level. It's called a level. I have a longer level. Lasers and glue. I use a lot of hot glues. This is a battery powered hot glue gun. This is kind of a bit of an impulse buy, I suppose. You don't really need a battery powered hot glue gun. I also have a wired hot glue gun as well. But yeah, just glue pen, just straight down. Glue what you need to glue. Go away. I have a normal tape. And in here is my actual soldering iron. So this is the new, or the one below the one I have, which is broke, and this works absolutely fine. So I use that, and then I just got some solder in there as well. I'm not sure where my laser measure is. That's quite disappointing. Hey ho. So I'm just going to pack up as we go. I have a load of random tools, Podger days, long nose pliers, Podgers, all that kind of stuff. Just standard tool equipment. Shout out to SLX. I have a notebook from SLX that I usually used to make. What's in here? Evening session, morning tech session, quicker fades, spot 2s, spot 1s, all that kind of stuff just usually goes in here. But now I use my iPad for that stuff because I'm next gen. Another bit of tape, happy days, I can go in there. Now this is so handy, alright? And actually, this should come with it. So this is a crimping tool, right? Really good for connecting set electrics together, right? And in here, which is my cable strip and crimp, I have this draper mechanism. Now loads of people sort out their wires and their cables so differently, and this is the thing I use. If I'm got time, if I'm in a rush, I'll just run a Stanley blade around it. But if not, I put it literally the cable in there, close it down. I set the depth of the blade like that, and I just wrap this around the blade, around the cable like that. Undo it, pull it off. Happy days, wicked, absolutely perfect. Love this thing, especially with like really thick core cable. Snips, standard snips, everyone should have snips as well, standard snips. And then a dinosaur for your single core cables, just a lot quicker, just to rip it out. There you go, it's 4 or 5 of them done. Happy days, dinosaur. Yeah, wire stripper cutter, that's what they're called. So while I pack this up and we move on to the next peli case, I know we're going really quick, and there's a reason for that. I don't necessarily want to tell you what you should have in your peli. It is totally based on how you work, where you see your career going, and all that kind of stuff. You know, I am a touring lampy, and therefore I need everything from the newest... What is bleeping at me? Why are you bleeping at me? I need everything from the newest bit of software on my computer to the nicest hardware, you know, because I'm put in situations where in-house might not have it, my production electrician might not have it, my number 2 might not have it, although Craig's got everything, it's pretty perfect, but, you know, which is annoying, but really good. So I have to have a vast variety of everything. And, you know, for example, if you're just going to go and be an in-house technician and you're starting out your career and all that kind of stuff, you're just going to need a Podger, an AJ, a DMX Cat, some Sharpie, some tape, you know, a Leatherman. That's it. Essentially, you're throwing a show into a building. That's all you're going to need. You're receiving a show, whatever. If you're traveling and you can't just quickly nip to the B&Q because you've got a 1 day up and in, that's when your kind of like armory needs to get built up to this kind of level. And again, I'm not saying this is perfect. I'm saying this is happy to where I am in my career. So that's why I'm going really fast. I don't want you to go, well, Chris had that, therefore I've got to buy it. No. Put yourself in a situation, you know, where you might need a tool that I've shown you today, and then think about going to buy it. And there's 1,000,001 versions of these tools, so don't just pick the one because I've got it. This is just totally advice. This is totally what I use, how I use it, why I use it. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the next peli case. This peli case, as you can see, is lovely now. And I'll do the dividers and what's in the lids on the Action 2 after I've done the main section of the videos. So I started out with this, and this case is the 1510 peli case, and this is the standard peli you'll usually see. However, I started to get a lot of power tools and stuff like that, so then I ended up upgrading and adding to the infantry and the armory the 1560 peli case. So yeah, so that's why I have 2 pelis. I just physically had too much stuff that I wanted to have and I didn't want to ditch, essentially. So yeah, so I used my smaller 1510 for cables, cleaning kit, glue, random bits of cable, more Sharpies, and kind of like drills and stuff like that. And then I use this one for the everyday on-site life. So I could essentially, when I'm going to fit up a job like a fit up 6, I would just take my big peli and not take the little one, if that makes sense. So let's get right into it. Okay, so we start off with a powered glue gun. I have a little 10-volt drill. This is a Makita drill, and I use this for if I'm drilling into wood or drilling, you know, cable runs into wood or need holes in anything, stuff. Why are you bleeping again? So yeah, I literally, it's the first ever thing I bought, and it works really well as well. You know, if essentially you want to use it as an impact driver, if you've got nothing else on site, you can use it. But yeah, good little drill, 10-volt, Makita, good egg. Moving on to the cleaning stuff I have in here. I have Roscoe lens cleaner, which I totally haven't stolen from a show. And then I also have anti-static foam cleaner. Both you can get from CPC, you know, if you're putting in an order in, and both are really handy in your toolbox. I either have it in my toolbox or I have it in our production consumables case or something like that. And again, bloody hell, like when you're Piccadilly Circus in here. Just a cloth wipe, just in it to go with them two, really. Nothing major. Get these from B&M, whatever you want to do. This is an interesting one. Everyone's like, what is this and why do I have it? And essentially it's just a really big hairdryer, but it's actually a battery powered heat gun, like that. And it heats up really, really hot. And I got this, so when I was on, I'll stop, I got this for when I was on Potter and we were on site and everything was getting really, really soggy and really, really wet, and we just needed something to clean out some of the connections and whatnot, and this actually became a bit of a lifesaver. Again, going back to what I was saying about this video, you know, this is molded to me. This is how I tour, this is how I do my job. So obviously I would not expect everyone to go out and buy a battery powered heat gun unless you 100% need it. And if you're working in a warehouse as well, if you're heat shrinking cable, this is probably quite good as well. But you know, knife sharpener, just so you don't blunt your knives every time you cut rope or you're cutting tape or all that kind of stuff. This is my little baby. This is my Makita impact driver. Absolute beast. Bloody beautiful. Use it for absolutely everything. But one thing, I'm going to teach you all a lesson here. One thing you should never ever use it for is getting the front and back cases off moving lights. I've seen so many people do it and it's such a wrong thing to do. So if you want to take anything away from this video, never ever do that. Alright, always use a screwdriver, a Leatherman, anything. Just do not use an impact driver. It might seem quicker, it might seem faster, but it's really not healthy, I'm telling you. But yeah, again, just a really 18 volt powerful machine for absolutely anything you could possibly need. A bit of WD-40, you know, it's just standard stuff really. Owl dye for like really intense gluing sessions, you know. I have a wireless access router in case I go to a site and I can't connect to the network or the desk or anything like that. I can set that wireless access network up and I can connect. This is quite handy. I've only recently just bought this. Again, small things everyone. This goes on top of my Makita battery and it's got USBs and it's a light as well, and it's a bloody really powerful light and it's just really good, really good. There she is. That's the most important thing in this one, which should be in the big one, is the laser measurer. Again, for when you're dead in those bars and all that kind of stuff, or you want distances, or anyone just needs a laser measure. You know, stage management might need it to, you know, measure how far down a piece of set goes from the back wall, or sound might use it to line out their line array or whatever they need it for. Just really good, 30 quid, just really easy to get, and really everyone uses it. That kind of stuff. So I'm going to pack this up now and then we'll move into the actual case lids and dividers themselves. Okay, so moving on to the case lids, you're now on my chest instead of the video, that camera. I just have an earpiece for the radios, really, really handy for when you're working in front of the house. Everyone should have them instead of fists. Paracetamol, because I always get headaches. Another earpiece for the radios. I have a Bear Grylls knife as well. This is a big one. And that is for mainly cutting rope with, absolutely nothing else. I have an Apple AirTag in here. Obviously people can see that if they're going to steal it, so they'll get rid of it. But it's just really handy to know where the truck is going from venue to venue. And then I just have just amples amount of Sharpies and a bit of tape, some batteries in that one. All my kind of like lanyard equipment, kind of clipping on, tools, spare carabiners, all that kind of stuff is there. And then all the tape and the chargers for stuff in this box goes in here. So all the tape is for the label machine, different colours, different backgrounds, all that kind of stuff goes in that one. And moving on to this one. So in this one we have a load of different ends for the heat gun, and then I have just a Cat 5 cable just in case I need to put my laptop in or anything like that. I also have an SD card in here because you just never know. I have a load of kind of like Terminators in here. I have a load of the same ends. Got to be careful what I say in this day and age because you know you're going to cancel me or something like that. Terminators, different ends. I had a load of stuff in here, but it's actually being used on this job. hot glue, araldite, more Sharpies, and something like USB-C cables, adapters just in case. And then my Wagos. So this is a Wago. Okay, I haven't actually spoken about these because I don't actually have any in this toolbox. It's all in my consumables case. However, these Wagos are very, very important for kind of like quick electrics. They're not a permanent fix. However, they're really handy. Essentially what you do, plug in, snap on. Plug in, snap on. And then there's your two cables connected. End of story. It's just that easy. And they're really expensive, but if you can buy a box of, say, 20, then, you know, you're flying. Dead easy. Dead, much easier than a chop block anyway. Okay, so yeah, that is essentially what's in my Peli, alright? And like I said, I do want to reiterate that this is what I use. This is what I use on my daily basis. Maybe not at all at the same time, obviously, but, you know, certainly give it a good go at trying to make use of all my tools. You won't need this, and what I'll do in the description below, I will do the whole intermediate kind of starting out what you'll need and all that stuff, and I might even put it on the list at the end of the video. I'm unsure yet. My plan was to talk you through getting it out individually. This is what you'll need if you're starting, this is what you'll do. However, there's just too much of it to do that. So I'll put the list on the bottom, and I'll put a link to the majority of the stuff if I can find it on Amazon and whatnot, and you can have that. I hope you enjoyed this different style of video. It's certainly been different for me to make with all the different camera angles and whatnot, so bear with me on the quality and the sound quality and stuff like that. Usually it's just me talking into one camera. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Sorry it was really, really quick, but we got everything in there that we needed to do. I also forgot, which I don't have with me, I just have a Petzl hard hat, black Petzl hard hat, and then I have Dunlop steels, tan seals. So yeah, I think they're called like intermediate or something like that, they're actually called, and they're really, really comfy and they do the job for me. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Different style of video. Any questions, please ask below. And also anything you think I should add to my inventory, let me know and I'll see if I can add it. But yeah, hope to see you again in the next video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.